Hello everyone, Dice here, and today I just wanted to make a video about Yu-Gi-Oh! Since it's been a while since my last one. I haven't been able to play Master Duel lately for real life reasons, but as you can see I managed to make it to Diamond this season. I don't think I'll be able to climb out of this in time, I just don't have the time, but yeah. Managed to make it to Diamond by using Branded. Now I'm not gonna lie, it is very rough in the tier limit matchup. It pretty much just comes down to did they mill a shuffler or too many shufflers. Then if they did, then yeah, it's very difficult to just win past that. Now it's a pretty standard build. I don't think it's too different from what most people are running. Preskinian's pretty much the only card I would remove from this, that I know for sure I would remove at least, because I just haven't had the opportunity to summon him at all. I think I would remove him for another Guardian Chimera, since the second Chimera doesn't really come up too often. Not to mention, you don't really want to summon Chimera too many times due to his destruction effect triggering tier limits cards. But it does come up more often than Preskinian, I believe. I guess you could also replace it for another Dragostapelia if you can manage to summon out another one. But yeah, just gonna show off a few matches now in a second. So for this matchup, I start out with Spraying's Kit to try to bait out any effects. Nothing happens, so I just get Branded Lost, activate the Branded Fusion, and from there we just go into a pretty much run-of-the-mill Branded plays. Chain Link 1, Chain Link 2, and Chain Link 3. The opponent can't respond to anything after Branded Fusion's successfully resolved, so we just keep playing. And we add Courier with Lost, and Adlib with the Tragedy, and then we go into Mirror Jade effect to immediately banish Spraying Kit and get a red and red. This gives me like a live Branded in red, as well as a monster negate. And I'm able to bring back Mirror Jade for a banish. I see my opponent's playing Branded Opening, and I think, oh cool, that means that we are mirror match, right? Unfortunately not. It's actually Branded Tier. Alright, it's not the first time I've seen this combination. I do think it might become more popular after the ban list takes care of the Ishizu cards. Not completely, but it will. I think this will definitely become just a bit more popular. Right, so he's going into his own Rebellion. And from here, I immediately activate Branded in red. And see, it's an interesting thing, because I'm thinking, well, if he ends up milling a shuffler, assuming he's running them, but he probably is. I don't know at this time. But if he's running a shuffler and he shuffles down, then Branded in red dies, and well, it's very hard to come back from that. So I just decide to go into Branded in red right now, and what do I go into? Well, not really Chimera, because I don't think he cares about any of this getting destroyed. So what I do is I go use those two to go into Dragostapelia. This gives me a free monster negate during his turn. Right, and then he goes for his own Mirror Jade. Now my Adlib triggers, and then Branded Lost triggers. Branded Lost lets me search out Albion. And now Adlib summons back Mirror Jade. Mirror Jade is now live. Battle phase, I activate this because you see the thing is that if they just crash into each other, then yeah, I kind of don't really have a follow-up next turn if I don't have the Albion. So I decide, I have to activate this. This forces his own activation. And what I end up doing here is activating the Mercurier to negate the effect. I believe if Dragostapelia negated him, might have been better. Let's see. Chain Link 3 resolves. Chain Link 2, he gets negated. Yeah, maybe a misplay here, but it all works out in the end. He activates that. All my stuff's gonna get destroyed in the end phase. Now, yep, He has not normal summons, so he just starts going into his tier combo. I don't think there's really a point to activating Dragostapelia here because, as you can see, he ends up milling a tier name. So if we wasted the Dragostapelia there, and really not much we can do from there. He ends up getting 2 tier names in the grave, and the fusion summon. First, he actually surprised me with this. I was not expecting this, I'm gonna be honest. He uses his own Dragostapelia to counter my own, and then he sends away his those 2 for Kid Kalos. Dragostapelia effect, I just activated because like it doesn't really matter. It's just gonna get negated no matter what. Plus, I lose him at the end phase, so yeah. Just what can you do here? The end phase, everything gets destroyed. My Albion activates, allow me to get a branded fusion for follow-up this turn. Now I have to go up against what I believe is Suliek, as well as a field that, while not like totally powerful, can still give him a lot of follow-up. I just play the fusion, and I send the comedy. There we go. Now you see, with Branded Lost, it means that he can't respond to my fusion summon. So what I do here is I get these 2, bring out the Mirror Jade, and now you see, if you toggle on immediately after he's fusion summoned, you can actually use Mirror Jade's effect as unrespondable, and that way he can't use Suliek anymore. Or he can't respond with Dragostapelia either. Yeah, just act it. Yeah, just send the use the combo of Albion to get Branded in red from my graveyard. Now I go into Branded in red. And here, I go into Guardian Chimera. Now, yeah, there might be another misplay here, because I try to destroy the Dragostapelia, and I didn't, and honestly, I forgot that branded opening was there, but to be honest, I don't think there's really much else I could destroy. I mean, if I destroy this, then he can just bring it back when I destroy this by battle. If I destroy any of the tier back row, he starts popping off. So, yeah, I think it was just fine in general. I do draw into an evenly matched wheel, which will become important later on here. Now, he activates this to put my Mirror Jade at level 1. That will come up during his turn. So, might seem weird at first, but it does come up. Yeah, my hand's a bit too big, so I set evenly matched, hoping that he overextends, and which will let me remove cards from his field. I set the second Branded in red, pass it back to him. I target this immediately, and I just immediately go into a Masquerade, because again, I'm thinking if he gets a Shuffler in grave, then Branded in red is dead. And yeah, I'm just thinking, yeah, Masquerade will be able to put a limit to the amount of monster effects he can activate this turn, since yeah, tier limit tends to activate a whole lot of monster effects. So that's my reasoning, like, okay, just summon Masquerade, and now he has to deal with the Masquerade, or he just loses. Right, this lets me search out Albion again for follow-up next turn. And now he activates this and that. No, if you, yeah, and he does manage to mill a Shuffler, so I was right about that. He immediately goes for the Suliek because he wants to stop this from constantly burning him. And he goes for the Quiritis. He can't really go for like Kid Kalos because Kid Kalos is banned, so he's stuck with the branded part of his deck rather than the tier element part. What he does here is very interesting though. He then activates Quiritis, which will lower the attack of my Mirror Jade. And now he uses these 2 to fusion summon into his own Masquerade. And now Lubellion actually targets the Kid Kalos in his banished zone. to bring out Real Kalos, and now his kid is live again. Yep. It's pretty good. I actually genuinely didn't expect that. Now he goes into attack. Hey guys, he doesn't have game on board. Like, even if he attacked with these two, it still wouldn't be game. Also, Mirror Jade is fusion summoned, so he probably wants to prevent his field from being wiped. He does attempt to end the battle phase as is, but fortunately for him, I had the evenly matched. And now he banishes these 3 cards, which, yeah, they're probably the least important cards. I mean, Tournament Scream being lost is probably not ideal for him, but still, he still has these 2 pieces of interaction, as well as Masquerade to burn me. However, as you can see, I have a huge card advantage, and I'm able to just go into Albion. I send the branded opening because I already used the Retribution previously. And I managed to rip into a Polymary, and thanks to branded Lost, if he tries to activate this, which he does, it will not get negated because Lost protects the activation from being negated. So I go into my own Lubellion. And as you can see, I just go into Chainlink 2. And Chainlink 3, he can't respond to with it Solic, so I can just banish his Rule Kalos. This also turns off his Solic, and I just search out Albion again for follow-up next turn. And from there, he realizes, yeah, I'm just way too ahead in card advantage. And he just surrenders. Okay, that was pretty good. On to the next game. Now, this next game is actually my rank up game from Plat to Diamond. And as you can see, it's not a... Well, it's not a bad starting hand by any means, but it's definitely... It could be better. And I'm going second. That being said, I do have the Super Poly, which does come up and does help during when you're going turn 2, which... Yeah. One of the reasons why I'm very glad Super Poly is back to 3, because that way I can... It does give Branded a much higher chance of fighting back against stronger meta decks. Like Tier Limits doesn't really care if their stuff gets super polyed, but yeah, it's still being able to remove monsters from the field through like non-destruction effect that is super poly, still very good, which is why I run it at 3. Yeah, I think that's definitely the right choice, even if it's not the best pick for the meta at the moment. Right? Well, I'm not going up against Tier Element deck here. It's Punk deck. Yeah, I don't think this is like a meta threat, so to speak, but it's still pretty strong. As you can see, he's just comboing off, managing draw cards, summoning a bunch of stuff. Right. Honestly, I'm not too familiar with the deck, so yeah. He has 2 face downs. He has this guy, which can synchro during my turn. He has this guy. There's a fusion monster, which thankfully for me is going to be very important. And first I try to use Patchwork to see if I can like bait out an Ash Blossom, because if he ashes my random fusion, that would be a problem. So I immediately set down the Despine Comedy, not summon it because I don't know if that's like Solemn Judgment and he just immediately solemns it. I don't know. I've seen some really weird things in Master Duel, so yeah, set it down. It could still be used for a fusion summon, so I immediately go into Super Poly, send the Branded Retribution, and use Carp and Comedy for... Okay, there goes Tepelia. Then I use the Branded Fusion to go into Lubellion. Now Lubellion, what do I pitch? I pitch the Edge Imp. Big Tragedy. Yeah. See, here's the thing. He activates Effect Veiler to try to target the Lubellion. Fortunately for him, Comedy in the graveyard. See, this is why I run Comedy, since if the opponent's able to like Imperm or a Veiler the Lubellion, then that kind of ends my turn right there. However, Comedy means I can just tribute him off the field and dodge the negation, which lets me keep playing. right? Search for everything else, pretty much the same. Search limit him with Tragedy and fuse into Mirror Jade with Libellion. Item chain activates, so let me search another Patchwork once per turn so I can activate it again. And I use the Mirror Jade effect to try to banish a card on his field. It does get hit with Ghost Ogre. Yeah. I'm not sure if that was the choice, but... yeah. So, right now I activate Polymary, fuse the 2 monsters on the field and 1 monster in the hand. We go into Guardian Chimera because I'm thinking, okay, I want to pop this back row, and Polymary being in my graveyard means that he can't, like, if this is imperm, he can't negate this. To Adlib resummons the Mirror Jade, letting me banish again during his turn. And it's just like a see. Now right now it was a cross out, and this trap card, I don't know what it does. It doesn't really matter. Cross out designate. I would have negated Max C, so for the best that this happened. He does end up getting Nibiru off, which this kind of hurt. But I activate Max C. Max C against Nibiru is basically pot of greed, so it's not too bad. I definitely need the follow-up here, because right now things are about to get a bit crazy. You get Aluber and the Fallen of Albaz, but as you can see here, I already normal summon, so yeah, not much I can really do here. I activate Branded Retribution to get back Branded Fusion, so I can get some follow-up next turn. And I just set the Super Poly, Mirror Jade activates, which causes, his effect triggers, which causes Mirror Jade, Nibiru to be destroyed. Then Albion's effect activates, letting me set a Branded in red. Now, here's where things get wild. Activates that to search for Xiamen. Now, you see, if I had the second copy of Guardian Chimera, I absolutely could have fused with the Nibiru token, popped the Xiamen. Yeah. Having an issue with Super Poly here is that Super Poly is kind of dead here since all of them are Erts and there's no Garura. Really hoping Garura comes out in the next pack. Get the draw. Now you see he's getting burned, but yeah, this deck runs Psychic and Punisher, so he actually doesn't care too much about getting burned. He does have to respect it though, because it's starting to get low. Yeah. So he activates Max C against me, and that lets him get a draw off my Mirror Jade being summoned from the Adlib effect. He has to pay a whole lot of life points, and I activate Mirror Jade. Now he's like, what should I banish? In all honesty, I should have banished the Punk Jam Dragon Drive, because what I do is I banish the Xiamen, but as you can see, that was a mistake here. I should have, yeah. Because he can just simply search for another Xiamen, and now he activates the field spell, which lets him, aside from drawing a card, it lets him special summon Xiamen again. And now he goes into Psychic and Punisher. He's very low on life points. And that's his final life activation. And now here, it looks like I'm about to lose, because he's like, holy crap, this guy is huge. And yeah, he can just destroy my board. Luckily, I have Super Poly to save me. I pitch the Patchwork, and I go into Star Venom. This lets him draw another card, but at least I get to survive for this turn. He activates immediately the Emergency Teleport. Bring back this. Sure why? Yeah. So he copied his attack. This will only last until the end of the turn, unfortunately, but it does prevent him from being just attacked over. So I survive for a turn. He destroys the Nib token, however. Now he activates the Foxy Tune. We bring out this guy. The Ogre Dance summons. Now he has a 2 and an 8. What does he go into? He goes into Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur will pop the Star Venom. And Star Venom's effect will pop his field. Well, except the Psychic End, since this is unaffected by activated effects. He protects his Baron de Fleur by negating his effect. Now my turn, and it definitely looks like I'm in a losing position. However, he's very low on life points. He has to protect this Psychic End Punisher at all costs, because essentially this is his win con. There's very few cards in my deck that can out this, but as you can see, I managed to out it through rather unexpected way. I activate Branded Fusion, and his final card in the hand is, of course, Ash Blossom. Because, you know, Ash Blossom in hand, Branded Fusion. Yeah, that pretty much always happens. Branded players know the pain. Thankfully, though, I just fall on a Valbaz, diffuse these two, is Baron the Floor specifically, and then I go into Mirror Jade. Then I activate Tragedy in the graveyard to set the Branded in red in my grave, and then I summon Masquerade from the grave to wall up. Just now, he immediately goes into battle phase, and yeah, I think he's thinking that he has to destroy like Mirror Jade, because Mirror Jade can just banish anything that he summons, even though there's very few cards left for Mirror Jade's banishing effect. And now he targets the Mirror Jade. Now this is definitely the play that ends up costing him the match, because let's see what happens here. I activate the Mirror Jade effect that when it leaves the field because of an opponent's card, he can destroy all opponents' monsters they control during the end phase of this turn. Now the thing is, Psychic End Punisher is unaffected, but only by activated effects. So the question is, does Mirror Jade's effect count as an activated effect, even though it doesn't trigger until the end phase? Well, he's about to find out. End phase, and his Psychic End Punisher is fully outed. And with nothing else left, the game's over. And I rank up the diamond. And that's about all I have to show for today. I do have a few other matches, but I just picked the two that I felt were the most interesting to show off. I did also play a few matches with tier elements, but I'm gonna be honest, it's just very difficult to make more videos about tier elements, because either I just combo off and the opponent has no way to come back, or they floodgate me out of the game, or they combo off and I don't get good mills. Yeah, when everything goes right, the tier games can be very fun. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I have more fun with playing Branded than I do with tier elements. Hopefully the upcoming ban list, as well as the upcoming Bystial cards, means that there'll be less people playing tier elements, so maybe it won't be quite tier 0 anymore. Or maybe people just end up playing Bystials alongside tier, and we have to suffer tier 0 for another month. So anyway, that's about it. Catch you guys next time. Take care.